So I'm here with Dr. Richard Holzapfel, who just finished his plenary lecture. Dr. Holzapfel, so for anyone who missed your lecture, what is the most important message that you would like them to take away from what you had to say in your session?
I think that historians have been kind of become critical of reminiscences, almost saying, unless we have a primary source, a contemporary source, we're just not really going to believe people, their memories. And certainly we have to be cautious about memory because, like all of us, our memories do change and we reconstruct the past and we forget things. But if you don't have a contemporary source, sometimes the reminiscences, the oral or written reminiscences written later about an event, are the only sources you have. So you need to engage those sources. And what I think in this particular presentation is that Wilford Woodruff started in October of '44, so not very many months after the famous last charge meeting in March of '44. Starting in October '44 through the rest of his life, just 3 months before he died, he told that story over and over again. So we can look at those reminiscences and identify the core repeated statements and ideas. And of course then that gives you a sense of, I can trust this source. Over 50 some years he's repeating the same idea and he's recalling the same event. When it comes to the core, the outer material around it, the non-essential material, maybe there isn't the consistency that we would all like, but none of us can tell a consistent story over that many years. And remember, was I wearing a blue shirt that day or a yellow shirt? Well, that's not important.
Right.
What you did that day was important, and that's what Wilford Woodruff does. So this presentation really gets that core information. What happened in March of '44 with the Prophet's last charge?
All right. Now, I've had several participants mention a recording that you discussed. Would you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. Thomas Edison in 1877 invented the ability to record voices. And these were on little cylinders. And Wilford Woodruff's son-in-law owned a music store, and he owned one of these phonographs that had been invented by Edison, brought it, and had Wilford Woodruff bear his testimony. And that testimony is one of the many reminiscences of the March 1844 last charge. So we actually not only have the talks he gave and the letters he wrote all those years, but we actually have his actual voice telling us what he remembered those events. So it's exciting because he's the first prophet. We have his voice is recorded, and it's a key document in the story of what happened in the spring of 1844 in Nauvoo.
Awesome. Thank you so much for explaining that. So let me ask you, you've been involved with BYU Studies for a number of years now, which is part of the reason that you were invited to speak today at our 50th anniversary symposium. But how did you first become involved with BYU Studies?
Well, I got involved with BYU Studies as a student at BYU.
Oh.
When I was attending BYU in the late 70s and early 80s, BYU was publishing some really remarkable essays and stuff on church history and the Bible. And so just as a student interested in the Mormon experience, I started reading BYU Studies. And then later, after I finished my education at BYU, left and began my professional career in graduate school and stuff. BYU Studies continued to be an important LDS voice. And particularly I was far away from graduate school. I didn't associate with other LDS students in my program. I was the only LDS student in the program. So that became a continued important intellectual place for me to go and study and learn and think. So that was important. I came back in '93 to teach at BYU, and Jack Welch invited me to join. I had already been doing some work with historic photographs. He said, "Hey, Richard, why don't you come on over and help us with the photographs?" And I got involved immediately in '93, and I've worked with BYU Studies ever since. And I've done things where I've been, on certain boards. I've done reviews. I've contributed maybe half a dozen articles in my career since the early '90s, and then also been the photographic editor.
All right. Well, so I understand that you've been called to serve a mission, or as a mission president. Is that right?
Mission.
Okay. So where have you been called to serve?
We're going to be going to the Alabama Birmingham mission.
Okay. Well, congratulations. This July. All right. Well, you'll be sorely missed around here, but I understand there are other parts of the vineyard that need healing. And so let's see. One other question that I had for you is, do you have anything else that's going to come out before you serve that mission?
Well, maybe not appear in print, but there will be several pieces completed and turned into BYU Studies. We have one piece that we've been working on for actually several years, and it's gone through several drafts. But we've always been wanting to get a little more documentation from the church archives. And we're almost there. And this is the earliest account of the last charge. It's a manuscript in longhand, probably produced in September of 1844. So it's the earliest written account of that important meeting where the prophet gave the 12 his keys, his authority.
Right.
And that document, I'm working with Alex Baugh,
perfect.
and Ron Esplin at the Church Archives, who's involved with the Joseph Smith Papers Project. And that will be coming out in BYU Studies very soon. And then obviously I have a couple more pieces that I'm trying to finish up before I go, and hopefully it goes in the hopper and goes through the review process. And you know, if Jack likes it and reviewers like it and it makes a contribution, then we'll see a few more pieces. So hopefully after I leave, there'll be a few more pieces. And of course, when I come back, I'm still young enough that I still have quite a number of years at BYU, and I plan to get re-engaged and get re-involved because BYU Studies is the leading voice for LDS scholars and for those interested in what work is being done in the field of Mormon studies.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and congratulations on such an exciting and distinguished career.
Thank you very much.
We wish you all the best on your mission.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.